No matter where I look, things are just not okay. Many places to hide, no ways to run away. There's not even time to ease the pain. I cannot believe how much time seeing those things are what I'm most afraid. Run before there is no more time to cross the gate. Light on brings heavy tears. Desire got our ears pierced. Time to return our lives forever. Time to go back to him, it's now or never. Those chasing dreams that are any better. We're here to find deserve Hashem. Time to return our lives forever. Time to go back to him, it's now or never. Those chasing dreams that are any better. We're here to find out to pretend. For years I thought the world was all beneath my feet. Now I'm all surrounded by my enemies. Their blades are sharp with build and strong. Night seems too dark to carry our sails to blame. Hoshienu Hashem. Run before there is no more time to cross the gate. Light on brings heavy tears. Stephen from Australia, welcome over. Time to return our lives forever. Time to go back to him, it's now or never. Those chasing dreams that are any better. Mr. Reggie, welcome over. It's time out with these. Time to return our lives forever. Time to go back to him, it's now or never. Those chasing dreams that are any better. We're here to find out to pretend. Cause we did not come here to pretend. Don't be taken for a fool. Wait for another minute. Look at the mirrors you used to blame. Was surrender in our stranger lives forever. Time to go back to him, it's now or never. Those chasing dreams that are any better. We're here to find deserve Hashem. Time to return our lives forever. Time to go back to him, it's now or never. Those chasing dreams that are any better. We're here to find out to pretend. B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We're back here on our Wednesday night, Shiur Torah, Stump the Rabbi series, where tonight, B'ezrat Hashem, after giving you some Divrei Torah, B'ezrat Hashem, you guys will then ask me some questions. B'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us some answers. Tonight's Shiur is sponsored for the Ilui Nishmat of Tzipora Leah Bat Shlomo Zalman. And also leavdil a refuah shlema for Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah bat Levana, Rav Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Avi Mori David ben Esriya, Imi Morati Doris bat Zora, and Liora bat Liel. Refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, and atzlacha rabba to everyone, especially those that continue to support, continue to help us publicize Torah, continue to help us learn Torah, continue to help us do kiruv and help poor people, whether spiritually poor or materially poor. If we're able to help them, Baruch Hashem, over the last decade or so, we've helped quite a few, but we're looking to do 1,000,000 times more than what we've already done, Baruch Hashem. So tonight, Rabotai, we're going to talk about some real life issues that are not just some things that I have knowledge from the books, but very much so from my own life. I know that some of you like to ask me personal questions, and I usually try to answer all questions, whether it's personal or it's regarding to the Torah. But unless people ask nonsensical questions, generally speaking, I answer all questions. But tonight, this is going to be one of the shiurim that if we really have the B'ezrat Hashem, the siyata dishmaya, and we're able to say the words of the Torah properly, this is going to be one of the foundational shiurim that's going to help you in your life. Because when it comes to life, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter whether you are you were born rich, you were born poor, you were born religious, you were born, secular, born Jewish, born not Jewish. It doesn't really make a difference who you are and where you started and where you are today. Everyone, absolutely everyone goes through tough times. There's simply no question about it. And sometimes a person goes through such difficulties, whether it's a health difficulty, financial difficulty, relationships, children, parents, whatever it is, addictions. Sometimes a person's difficulty is so much so that they truly feel like they're alone. They truly feel like they're crying alone and no one is listening. And really the question is, does God actually hear your lonely crying? Now, everyone has heard that Hashem heard Am Yisrael cry in Egypt, and we learned that again in this week's Parashat Vayera. He heard our cries, he answered our cries, but the question still remains in everyone's heart at times, and certainly in their mind, whether he hears our cry, whether he hears your cry. Okay, so he heard Am Yisrael 3,300 years ago, and he heard some other people that you heard about that they got a salvation. But when a person is going through difficulty, when they're agonizing in pain, whether it's financial pain or physical pain or spiritual pain or whatever it is, and you feel completely alone, you can feel completely miserable, and some people even get to the point of wanting to commit suicide. Like, unfortunately, somebody sent me a letter just the other day and telling me that they're in such pain and agony that they're asking me if it's halachically permissible for them to kill themselves. And of course it's not. But the point is that the fact that a person got to that level of pain, which I'm very familiar with, is certainly tragic, because the answers are in the Torah. The answers, Rabotai Karim, are in the Torah to these questions of whether HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to your cries. Now, the next question everyone will naturally ask is, if he hears me cry, then why doesn't it seem like he's answering? I mean, okay, so he hears, great, but I'm still in pain. I'm still in a loss. I'm still in agony. Why isn't he answering me? He answered them, he answered this guy, he answered this, That's in essence one of the things that a person asks, especially during their weak moments. Now, these are critical questions that you have to have the answers for your particular case in order to have the proper ideology and the proper perspective that's needed during those difficult times that you may have had or are having, or perhaps will have in the future. The longer you live, the more of these bumps in the road, and sometimes bumps that are big enough to be craters, you're going to go through. And without the proper ideological perspective that's needed, a person can go through much more difficulty than necessary. So, Parashat Vayera starts with a rebuke. Who is Hashem rebuking? No, he's not rebuking Egypt. No, he's not rebuking Am Yisrael. He's actually rebuking Moshe Rabbeinu. Because in last week's parasha, in Parashat Shmot, Moshe Rabbeinu cried out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and asked him, why aren't you helping Am Yisrael like you told me you're going to do? Since you sent me there, things have gotten worse. They're crying out even more. They're being tortured even more. And if you weren't going to help them for your reasons, which certainly are justifiable, I just don't know them, why did you send me then? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, וידבר אלוהים אל משה ויאמר אליו, אני אדוני. HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to Moshe and says to him, I am Hashem. Now obviously, Moshe Rabbeinu knows who Hashem is. And Rashi tells us that Hashem is telling him he is Hashem, meaning that he gives reward and punishment in accordance to his calculations that are beyond our comprehension. But the way we understand this, this is actually a rebuke to Moshe Rabbeinu, and not just a blanket statement, is by the usage of words in the Torah, where instead of saying, Vayomer Hashem, Hashem meaning Hashem spoke to Moshe, rather it says that Vayidaber Hashem, that Hashem in essence spoke to him in a rebuking voice. Furthermore, it uses the word Elohim instead of the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Tetragrammaton. And anytime the word Elohim is used, it is referring, when it's referring to Hashem, it's referring to him in his judgment. And why is HaKadosh Baruch Hu rebuking Moshe? Because Hashem is telling Moshe Rabbeinu, I am Hashem. The fact that you have questioned me in itself is not ideal, obviously, to say the least. But the fact that you are trying to remind me of my children crying, of my children suffering, that's the problem. That is the bigger problem. Why? As it says in verse number 5 in chapter 6, V'gam ani shamati et na'akat bnei Yisrael. And I also heard the outcry of the children of Israel, that Egypt enslaved them. So, obviously, we know that Hashem also heard. We know that Hashem also heard. And if we know, certainly Moshe Rabbeinu, the prophet of all prophets, knows that Hashem heard. But Hashem emphasizes here, V'gam ani shamati. I also heard. I know that you see your brother suffering, your sister suffering, your parents suffering, your children suffering, and you're crying out to Hashem, and it seems like he's not answering you because the kid's still in pain, because there's still helplessness and hopelessness in them, and you're crying out to Hashem to help, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Moshe Rabbeinu, Gam ani shamati. What do you think? You're the only one that sees my kids crying? You think you're the only one that has pain by seeing your loved one? You think you love them more than I love them? You think you love your brother? You think you love your son? You think you love your parents more than HaKadosh Baruch Hu? V'gam ani shamati. I also heard. I also heard. This, Rabotai, is the first critical thing that a person must always keep in mind. When you are suffering as a result of somebody else that you love, and you're praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it seems like he's not answering you, it seems like your loved one is still in pain, he's still in agony, she's still in agony for whatever reason or another, don't think for a moment that those tears are going to waste. Don't think for a moment that any prayers, any tzedakah, any good deed that you've done goes to waste. V'gam ani shamati. HaKadosh Baruch Hu certainly hears everything. And even more so, when a person is in their own personal abyss, and they're dealing with things that they could not even imagine their enemies having. Don't think for a moment that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not hear you crying. Don't think for a moment that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not in the pain with you. V'gam ani shamati. Moshe Rabbeinu, as the leader of my children, for you to think for a moment, that this is not part of the calculations that I already did before the world was even created. Even questioning it for a second, don't do it again. But since you're human, I judge you like a human. Now obviously, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent Moshe Rabbeinu to go and be the messenger, be the Mashiach that is going to take Am Yisrael out. But the original decree was for 400 years, as HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Avraham Avinu. Am Yisrael has been in Egypt for 210 years. Out of those 210 years, 116 of them, there were slaves. This is the reason why the Torah mentions the different ages. In this parasha, that Levi died at the age of 137, that's how we know how long we were in Egypt, because Levi came down to Egypt when he was 43 years old. Because his father, Yaakov, got married at 87, assuming that he was having one child after another. On the third year, he had Levi. That means that by the time they came down to Egypt, Levi was 43 years old. And if he died at 137 years old, you do the calculations, Rabotai, and you understand that Am Yisrael has been in Egypt for 210 years, of which 116 of them have been suffering agony beyond anyone's comprehension, beyond the Holocaust, beyond the pogroms, beyond October 7th, beyond anything imaginable. But yet there was a decree for 400 years, not 116. And therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in order to shorten the decree, expedite it, expedite the end, he had to increase the suffering several times fold for one day to be equivalent to much more than that in order to get that decree to be what it was. Now, of course, there are Chachamim that say that the decree originally started from the birth of Yitzchak. Yitzchak was born when the clock started. 60 years later, he had Yaakov Avinu as a son. Yaakov Avinu came down to Egypt when he was 130. In so many words, you do the math, you realize, yes, everything is perfect, it's 400 years. But the reality is that even if the decree started from the moment that they came down to Egypt, the sages teach us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has your best interest, and sometimes will increase the suffering before the salvation. Not because he wants you to suffer more, but rather because if you understood the calculation of what he has decreed according to the laws of the Torah that he created, you'd realize that it's in your favor. So Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem says, Moshe, my dear son, of course I knew when I sent you there that he's not going to listen to you, and in fact he's going to make things worse, but that's in the best interest of my children. That extra suffering is worth countless more years than you can imagine, and therefore I'm able to take them out now without changing the law, without changing the decree. And in fact, Moshe Rabbeinu hears HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then hears the words that every single one of us wants to hear when we are suffering. We want to hear about the salvation. We want to hear about what's it going to look like, what's going to happen. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us 4 words of salvation to make you understand what salvation actually looks like. Ve'otzeti, ve'ga'alti, ve'lakachti, ve'eveti. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I shall take you out. Ve'otzeti. V'itzalti, and I shall rescue you. Vegalti, and I shall redeem you. Velakachti, and I shall take you. Now, while all of these sound synonymous, the truth is that each one of them has a significantly different meaning. Kadosh Baruch Hu says that I shall take you out, I shall remove the Jews from the burden of slavery, even before they were permitted to leave the country, while they're still in the shetels of Egypt. Meaning that even though they're not leaving Egypt right this second, they're not leaving Gehenom right this second, I'll stop the pain. Even though you're having major issues, whether it's this issue or that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, the salvation comes, it's not going to come in such a way where you go from being broke to being a billionaire, being lonely to being married with 4 kids. No. First, HaKadosh Baruch Hu stops the pain. Even if the world around you didn't change. Second, V'itzalti, I shall rescue you. God will take out the Jews out of Egypt. Meaning their subjugation in Egypt will end. Eventually, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, when I bring you your salvation, not only will the pain stop, but you will no longer be in that position anymore. You will no longer feel the threat of falling back in, of being lonely again, of being sick again, of being poor again, of being in pain again. I'll remove you from that altogether. That's the second step of the salvation. Third, I shall redeem you. Now in the Torah, it's referring to the miraculous splitting of the Sea of Reeds into 12 different tunnels, as the Rambam writes and draws actually, where Am Yisrael came into the ocean on one side and returned on the same side, meaning they didn't go like in the movies where it makes you think that they went from one end to the opposite end, but rather they went in a semicircle like a rainbow. And each tribe got their own personal salvation, their own personal splitting and tunnel in the water where they're able to go in, but yet come back in the same place. Why? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted Am Yisrael to go, but for the Egyptians not to see them arrive at their destination, but rather only see them turning the corner constantly so they don't know where they are. And therefore entice the Egyptians to follow them and eventually drown and destroy the Egyptians. The Chachamim say that the Egyptians got punished 250 different plagues inside the ocean, much more than what they got in Egypt. The amount of miracles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made during this time is beyond comprehension. And that's in essence what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling you. Yes, you're crying in your room, in your office, in your hospital bed, and wherever you are, in your car. You feel like the world is ended. Life is ended. It's not worth living. Only the Satan wants you to think that way. Because the salvation comes, yes, the pain will stop, but it won't stop like you think where you won the lotto. No, at some point the pain stops. At some point, HaKadosh Baruch Hu removed you from that situation. At some point, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes miracles. Not just for Am Yisrael 3,300 plus years ago, but even for you today, in this world. And the fourth step of the salvation, Velakachti, I shall take you. Hashem took the Jewish people as his own people. What does it mean, Velakachti? Now, while you could easily rationalize, yeah, he took them to Israel. No, that's not what he's referring to. I took you as a nation. Meaning, just because you got the salvation the pain stopped, you're removed from that situation, you got some miracles. It didn't end there. No. I took you as my nation. You are now under my oversight, where you now have Ashgacha Prati, divine providence at all times. Every single day you wake up, you see Hashem in your life. Every single time you eat, every single time you go to the bathroom, every time you make a business deal, every time you send an email, every single time you get an email or a text, every single move of your life, you see Hashem in your life, which is the ultimate blessing above all blessings. Ashgacha Pratit. Because when you know that Hashem is with you, who could be against you? You know now for certain there is no turning back to step before this time. But Rabotai Karim, this salvation doesn't come for free. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm ready to do all of these. All of these salvations are going to happen. Don't think for a moment that those cries, those tears, that blood that was shed was for nothing. All of that is part of the perfect calculations of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the path is set. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, yeah, but I told him what you said. Paro didn't listen to me, and even the people didn't listen to me. They're too busy with fighting the fight. Yes, they're fighting the wrong fight. If they want that salvation, then the verse number 11 says, Bo, daber el Paro melech Mitzrayim. Come, speak to Paro, the king of Egypt. Now, technically, if you are telling somebody to go get you something, whether it's go give somebody a message for you, go get you a drink, go pick up an envelope for you, whatever, go do a job for you, whatever it is, you tell them, go over there and take care of it. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Bo. Bo means come. What does it mean, come? Now, the Ibn Ezra, who always relied on the simplest meaning above the Midrash or anything else, he says, yes, Hashem says, come into the city, come into the royal palace. But Chazal also give us further clarification of why HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, Bo, instead of lech, come, instead of go. Why? Moshe Rabbeinu cried for Am Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu was willing to die for Am Yisrael, to such an extent that when people ask, why didn't HaKadosh Baruch Hu bring the salvation even sooner? When you hear the horror stories of what Am Yisrael suffered in Egypt, how they were killing their children for not meeting their quotas. If he didn't build enough stones, they took the kid and they put him and replaced the stone with a kid. The horrible things they did to the Jewish people. Why didn't HaKadosh Baruch Hu bring the Mashiach sooner? That's because, as our sages teach us, no one was willing to die for Am Yisrael until Moshe Rabbeinu came. Meaning, yes, everybody wanted to save Am Yisrael. But everyone had a red line that weren't willing to cross. Yeah, I'm willing to help him out, but up to a point. How much are you willing to help him out? I'll help him with time, I'll help him with resources as far as my contacts, but when it comes to money, no. Oh, I'll help him with money, but when it comes to a lot of money, no. I'll help him with this, but everybody has a line. Oh yeah, I love him like a brother. You willing to die for him? No. Well, that's the difference. Chazal says that Moshe Rabbeinu was willing to die for every single Jew. And in fact, if it wasn't for Moshe Rabbeinu, we would still be in Egypt today, 3,300 years later. So now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe, Moshe, we came this far. The salvation is here. Everything is set. They don't want to listen. But you have to come and do this next part. Come to Egypt. Why come to Egypt? Because while you were questioning whether I'm hearing the cries, whether I'm hearing the pain, I'm already there with them. I'm already there with Paro. I'm already there with Am Yisrael, my dear children that are crying and suffering. I'm already there. Come to me, I'm already there. This is one of the things that a person fails to realize. When they don't have a deep connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu through His Torah, and they have some type of idolatrous belief in some guy that died for you, or they have some wrong belief, even if they believe in Hashem, and they believe in the Torah, but they don't have the proper ideology. When push comes to shove and they go through hell in life, they're losing, they're suffering, they're crying, immediately the Satan convinces them that they are alone and this pain will never end. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, yes, when I decreed the pain, there was already a decree of when it's going to end. Now, in order for you to get the salvation, come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Don't go try to figure out something else. Come to Hashem. Because Hashem is already standing on top of your solution, waiting to give it to you. Now, when a person looks at the world around us, he sees things that without the Torah, they don't make sense. He sees that there are books of tzaddikim, righteous people, that get burned and are lost forever. This has happened to Am Yisrael throughout history. And he asks, well, Hashem hears the cries. Hashem loves us, loves the Torah. He wants more Torah in the world. This tzaddik dedicated his life to the Torah, wrote a few books, but then they got burned. How does that show that Hashem loves and cares? In fact, the Gemara in Masechet Sukkah, on page 52a, says that the greater a person is, the more righteous a person is, the more powerful his Yetzirah is, the more powerful his evil inclination is. Meaning that the evil inclination of someone that's really righteous is much more difficult to deal with than someone that's just starting out about tshuva. About tshuva is struggling perhaps with putting on tefillin, praying on time, being modest. Righteous person is struggling with things that are much more difficult. So, the same token, the Khatam Sofer says, wait a minute. If the Gemara is telling us that the Yetzirah, the Satan, is all powerful when he's around important people, meaning tzaddikim, he says then there technically shouldn't be any Yetzirah left. Why? Who do we have, he says, in his generation? This is a couple hundred years ago. He goes, who do we have? We have nothing. He includes himself in there. He says, if the real big tzaddikim, the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, they had a real Yetzirah, so then you go down, so there's a smaller Yetzirah. Then you go down even further, it could be a smaller Yetzirah. Then you go down even further, there should be almost no Yetzirah left. So why is there even a Yetzirah? The answer to these questions, Rabotai Kareem, are literally diamonds that are priceless. Says the Khatam Sofer. Says, you see, HaKadosh Baruch Hu not only loves his children, even the ones that complain about him, even the ones that are not even sure if they believe in him. But if you are loyal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as the Rambam writes, you're beloved by Hashem. If a person betrays Hashem, he's an atheist, he's a heretic, then the Rambam writes, Hashem hates him, he's an enemy of God. But if a person is loyal to Hashem but is questioning because of difficulty, because of pain, as the Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah says, Hashem doesn't judge you the same way when you're in pain as when you're not in pain, just like we saw with Job. Job made questionable statements that are borderline heretical, but yet HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave him and loved him and brought him the eventual salvation. Why? Because he cannot be judged the same way after the pain that he was dealing with than the way he was judged before the pain. And therefore the Khatam Sofer says, yes, you're right. There's a degradation of the generations. We went from the tzaddikim, the complete tzaddikim at the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, and each generation is lower and lower. But you see, the fact is that since HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with us, in our pain, in our struggles, dealing with anti-Semitism, dealing with poverty, dealing with criminals, dealing with all types of difficulties, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with us as lowly as we are. He's always with us. He's with us in the tum'ah. He's with us in the pain, in the struggle. And the fact that he's with us elevates all of us to higher levels than we could ever be by ourselves. And therefore the Satan justifies, okay, I'm going to attack them also. I don't have to wait for them to be complete tzaddikim for me to attack them. Even though they're not tzaddikim, but look, Hashem is with them. I can attack them. But that's why the Gemara says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu protects us against the Yetzirah. If not for Hashem's protection, we wouldn't be able to overcome anything. Now, when it comes down to divine calculations, even though it's not possible for us to know all of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's calculations, Chazal, in their devotion to the Torah, were provided insights into how HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. And Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, Alav Shalom, writes, מה שהספרים קדושים של צדיקים נגנזים ונאבדים ונשכחים מן העולם, כגון כמה ספרים של תנאים וקדמונים שנאבדו ונשכחו, הוא טובה לעולם. He says, in regards to those holy books that the tzaddikim wrote, but they're lost. They're gone from the world. Like some of the great tzaddikim, literally, wrote dozens of books, but one fire destroyed them all. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says, this is good for the world. Why is it good for the world? If we had his Torah, all of the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva, 24,000 students, we don't have any of their Torah. The only Torah that we have is Rabbi Akiva and his 5 Talmidim. The 24,000 Talmidim that died, we don't have their Torah. Imagine we had all the Torah that we have today, millions of books, comes from Rabbi Akiva and his 5 Talmidim. Imagine we had the 24,000. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says this is good for the world. Why is it good for the world? Isn't more Torah better for the world? He says, no, you have to understand. The way HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world is everything that he does is always the best. As our teacher Rabbi Akiva told us in the Gemara Masechet Brachot at the end. Everything that he does is good, is the best. As Nachum Ish Gamzu, one of the rabbis of Rabbi Akiva, also said, Gamzu letovah, everything is for the good. The way he runs the world, the way he runs your life is always the best possible option available to you. You don't see it because you have a narrow perspective, a limited perspective where you could only see the wall that's in front of you. Whereas the Kadosh Baruch Hu sees everything around it, everything behind it, everything above it and below it, everything through it. And therefore Rabbi Nachman tells us, when a Kadosh Baruch Hu allows those books to be destroyed, those books that elevated his name, glorified his name, he allows them to be destroyed, to be lost. It's only because it's for the betterment of our lives. Why? Not because there was chas v'shalom anything wrong in them. They were amazing books, extraordinary Torah. But rather because there are books written by heretics, the Manises of the world, the Zionists, the Reformers. Did you ever wonder, how come none of them are around anymore? All of the Enlightenment movement, many of them were authors of books. Ever wonder why you don't see any of their books talked about by anyone, quoted by anyone? Rarely it's ever even mentioned, and if it's mentioned, it's only because somebody found a little verse here, a little sentence here and there. No one studies them anymore. The most you're ever going to hear is name dropping, people pretending like they learned such and such by Aristotle or by some other philosopher. But no one's going to mention you any sentences, page numbers, book names, nothing. You ever wonder why? That's the case with the heretics throughout all of the generations. But yet we are here studying not only the Rin Torah that we got at Mount Sinai over 3,300 years ago, but we're also learning the teachings of the sages that have been taught, read, and literally bled over for the last couple of thousand years. We're reading the books that were published in the last 100 years with the same ease as we have books that were written 800 years ago, 900 years ago, 1,500 years ago. All of it is readily available. There's such a surplus in Torah that if you studied every single day for 24 hours a day for 1,000 years, you would never finish it. And this is just the stuff that we have available to us. Needless to say, the stuff that's gone and we're only going to see once Mashiach comes. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says that because HaKadosh Baruch Hu has perfect calculations for everything, in order to uproot those heretical books from the world, there has to be a calculation. It's not enough that it's a bad book, that it can hurt people. There has to be something that goes and fights against it. And therefore, when I see that one of my tzaddikim's books has been lost, one of my tzaddikim's books has been burned, I take that and use that as, in essence, the credit to justify eliminating the heretical books from the world. And if that wasn't already more than enough, says Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, גם על ידי זה נתבטל קנאה ושנאה בין איש לאשתו הכשרים המתנהגים בקדושה. In fact, when those books were taken from the world by the hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the books of the righteous, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had also surplus credit to help the tzaddikim, And you see sometimes there's a couple that they've done tshuva. Now they pray to Hashem every day with kavanah. Now they give tzedakah to the best of their ability. Now they do chesed. Now they do everything that Hashem wants. And Hashem blesses them. Sometimes with wealth materially, sometimes with wealth physically. They have many kids, sometimes both. But ultimately, He blesses them with nachat. He blesses them with connection to Hashem. With an understanding that He's always with them through the difficult and through the celebrations. And what this causes is for people to look at them and become jealous. How come they have such a big house? How come they have so many kids? How come they have so much money? How come they look so happy? How come he's still in love with his wife like he just met her, even though they've been married for 20 years? How come she adores our husband? How come this? How come that? People have ayin hara on the tzaddikim couple. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says, in order to protect those righteous couple, I use the credit of those lost books. Because if it was not for that, the Satan can enter at any given moment. It's a real story I heard from my Rav, Rav Ephraim. One time they went to they were hosted for Shabbat. There was a wedding, and it was Shabbat Chatan. They were hosted by the new Kala's parents' house. And the Chatan's house, whatever it was. And the family was there and everybody's there at Shabbat. And they just got married. They are literally just married. Everyone's happy, everyone's excited. It couldn't be better. This is the highlight. All of a sudden, in the middle of Shabbat, in the middle of dinner, in the middle of everyone, the Kala looks at this tzaddik husband that she has, Avrech, tzaddik, learns Torah, everything good, protects his eyes, everything. She starts looking at him, and she starts saying the craziest things you could ever imagine. She says, when are you going to stop looking at other girls? What are you doing? What? No one even knows what she's saying. No one even knows where this comes from. Now he obviously turns white. He's like literally becomes see-through. He has no concept of what's happening here. But he's getting ripped apart by his new wife. The family, who knows who they're dealing with, knows all of this is false. They have no idea what got into this girl. And everyone simply looks forward for this to stop. A few moments later, she stops talking. The Rabbanit, Rabbi Ephraim's wife, she takes her to the side. She calms down, and then she comes back to herself. She goes, why'd you say all of that? She says, I have no idea. Is any of it true? She goes, no, it's all nothing. It's all crazy. I have no idea where it came from. Literally, their celebration was so extraordinary that it made, apparently, some people have ayin hara on them. Have ayin hara on them. Caused the girl to go crazy. For a few moments, Baruch Hashem, she's good, she's happy. Today they have Baruch Hashem family with kids, they're happy. She's not crazy. That was a one-time event for a few moments. But literally, the protection for the tzaddikim that are not famous, that are regular people, but they act with Kedusha, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says, even that is something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes sure to use whatever tools he has at his disposal to protect them, including the books of the righteous that have been lost. So now, Rabotai Karim, a person that is in what they would consider their life's dilemma. They are in pain, in agony. They feel like it's never going to be over. They've lost their money, they lost their loved one, they lost their health, whatever they lost. They're in their car, they're in their room, and they're crying hysterical. And they feel like a Kadosh Baruch Hu is not listening to them. Maybe he hears them, but doesn't seem like he's doing anything about it. What do you do? A little over 18 years ago, I had a surgery where something went wrong. And for a little over 18 years, I've had pain and have pain every single day. Of course, the first 7 years, which I told you guys small parts about it in the film and other lectures, I never gave the full story because that's just simply not something that is comprehensible by the vast majority of society. But the parts that I told you about, the first 7 years was agonizing, was Gehenom on earth. And certainly improved since then, but the pain continues. And has continued every single day for 18 years. I don't know what it feels like to be healthy. I look at people running and walking and doing all types of things, waking up in the morning without pain. I don't understand how that could be. It's been that long. I don't understand how it could be that someone doesn't have pain because of how ingrained it has become in my life. But I can tell you one thing. The amount of pain that I had throughout all of those 18 years and continue to deal with every single day, Baruch Hashem, has been the greatest blessing of my life. Because that's what it took to get me out of Gehenom. Now, I don't mean out of Gehenom just being a Mechalet Shabbat and going to Gehenom and all that stuff. No. Out of Gehenom in this world means out of a world where you think for even a second that a Kadosh Baruch Hu is not with you, holding your hand, crying with you. You see, before I learned Torah, before I changed paths and dedicated the rest of my life for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, however many years or days or minutes he gives me, all I had was me. Yeah, I had my wife. She's the greatest wife in history of wives. She's the best. I love her much more today than I did back then. And trust me when I tell you, I loved her a lot back then. But on a personal level, you're crying, and you're in agony, and you're in pain, and you're screaming, but no one can help you. When the solution to your problem is more painful than the actual problem. When you wake up screaming the scream of a lifetime, because you feel like you're being electrocuted and cut open at the same time without any anesthesia. And it happens every single day. And the doctors that want to give you a solution literally make the problem worse. They forget their brain at home. They start doing procedures without anesthesia. They start forgetting things. The craziest things in the world happen. When you live through all of that, when your friends become enemies, when what you thought was valuable becomes literally gone, whether it be money or possessions, positions, whatever it is, you get to a point where you feel like, I'm alone. I have nothing. Now, other people may look at you like, yeah, but you still have this and you still have that. And you say, yeah, but this and that is all worthless now. Why? Because the perspective has changed. Now, when a person deals with the pain of being alone, it's much, much worse than the pain itself, whatever the pain may be, whether it be money or it be health or it be whatever it is. When you feel like your problem is never going to go away, when you feel like there is no salvation, there is no hope, when you get to that abyss called hopelessness, and you now have to decide whether to live with this hopelessness or to give up altogether, there's nothing more painful than that abyss. So you see, Rabotai, once I understood that the hand that hit me is also holding me, is also protecting me, is also with me, I started thanking Hashem for all of it. Yes, on one hand, you're in agonizing pain and sometimes to the point where screams come out of your mouth without your control. But the second you gain control, you say, Baruch Hashem, thank you Hashem. Yes, something bad happens and you lost this and that. And for a moment you're upset, you even want to be angry, and sometimes you are angry. But the second you collect yourself and you realize, wait, hold on a second. Hashem took that. Thank you, Hashem. Baruch Hashem. So you see, before that transition happened, the ultimate Gehenom wasn't the pain. It was the loneliness. It was the hopelessness. And that's why, even though the pain continued and is now still going for 18 years, we don't let that stop us for a second. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu blesses us every single second, that even though I can't do some of the things that apparently healthy people do every day and take for granted, HaKadosh Baruch Hu never took my ability to serve Him away. I could still pray. I could still learn Torah. I could still teach. I could still help people. I could still do countless things. And for that, somehow I have strength. I may not have strength to sometimes walk across the room, but if I have to lift 50, 100, 200 boxes to go send it to Am Yisrael to do kiruv, the strength appears. The second I finish, I'm back to being crippled. How does it work? I don't know. He runs the world. Ask Him. And that's the greatest thing in the world. Why? Because you understand that not only you're not alone, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you. And therefore, when Rabbi Akiva said, everything HaKadosh Baruch Hu did, and everything that He does is always the best, you can see that through the suffering. You don't have to wait perfect sunrise, perfect heaven for you to enjoy, for you to be happy, for you to live literally as if you are in Gan Eden, despite the problems. Why? Because you have a Kadosh Baruch Hu with you, and there's nothing greater than that. When a person starts understanding where they stand and what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing for them, then it becomes easier to realize that there is no punishment in this world that's the ultimate punishment. This world wasn't designed for punishment. Now, of course, if you look around, especially if you live long enough, you see a lot of people look like they're being punished. This one has cancer, this one lost all of his money, this one's getting divorced, this one's kids are drug addicts, this one is this one is that. It looks like they're all being punished. Yes, it does look like that. But you see, in this world, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings kaparat avonot, meaning the suffering, the agony, the difficulty that you have that's causing you to cry, that's causing you to want to end it all. is all to your favor because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to simply redirect you. You're on the wrong path. I need you to go elsewhere. You're going right, you need to go left. You're going left, you need to go right. You're going against Hashem, you need to go towards Hashem. Now someone going to say, yeah, but there's religious people too. Yeah, what do you think? Religious people don't have issues? Not just financial and the rest of the world, but they also have emunah issues. They have heretical issues. They have all types of issues. They have also previous carnation issues. They have all types of things. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives each and every single one of us the perfect amount of kaparat avonot in order for us to eliminate the possibility, or at the very least, the sentence of the real punishment that could be and would be if not for that kaparat avonot. And that punishment is not here. It's in the world of truth. A place where we've learned extensively about, we've made a couple of films about, and we scratched the surface of what's really there. You see, Rabotai Karim, when a person gets their suffering here, that's a Kadosh Baruch Hu's kindness in order to redirect you, in order to re-navigate you, in order to remove the sentence, the decree from you. Because if not for that, and you arrive at the world of truth, at the judgment of heaven, with a full bill, there's no more opportunity to erase. There's no more opportunity to change. There's the punishment. There's the sentence that doesn't change. There's no more prayers. There's no more tzedakah. There's no more hopes that October 7th is not going to be your daily life. There's no more learning Torah. If a person leaves this world with the full 400-year decree of Egypt, there's no way to lower it to 210 or 116 or even to 399. So you see, Rabotai Karim, everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is the best when you go to Hashem and you connect to Him and you realize that He is with you. This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was telling Moshe Rabbeinu. Gam ani shamati. I also heard my kids cry. It's not just you feeling bad for them. You think you love your kids more than Hashem loves them? You think you love your wife or husband more than Hashem loves her? All of the love of all of the humans that ever existed are not comparable to how HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves any one of us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe, I also heard. And in fact, the moment I made the decree, I already had the date of when the salvation would come and the strategies of how to shorten the decree, of how I can bring them, the 4 levels of salvation, to take them out, to rescue them, to redeem them, and to make them mine. But in order for that to happen, come. I'm already there. Rabotai, I may not know much in Torah or in anything else. I know pain. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me not just the experience, but a certain, let's just call it, feeling other people's pain. Can't see it, hard to hear about it, but have to. So when you tell me about your pain, it's not just me reading words or listening to a voice. And that's why I'm telling you this stuff not just from the Holy Torah that doesn't need my help. I'm telling you this from the experience because HaKadosh Baruch Hu continues to help me by giving me the experience. You want a solution? You want a salvation? You want to stop feeling like you're crying alone? Go to Hashem. The solution, the salvation, is drastically more beautiful than you could ever imagine for yourself. But don't think it works like you think. The salvation is better. The salvation is much more extraordinary. But it works differently than what you think. And if you have decided to go towards Hashem, you'll see it. Perhaps even better than I do. And I, B'ezrat Hashem, wish and pray that you succeed in doing that. Because that salvation was already decreed on every single one of you before the decree to punish, to suffer, to hurt, to cry, even became a thought in your mind. Go towards Hashem. He's already there, waiting for you. Thank you for learning with me. With that being said, you guys can ask some questions, and B'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give you the answers. I'll give you the answers to give you. When I tried to test my pain standards, my palms were input parasites to stop such a thing. Okay, not sure what the question is. Sorry. Rabbi Shalom, what does the Talmud say about if a person doesn't pay attention to Ain Hara, it won't affect them as much? That story was interesting. What should one do to defend against Ain Hara? Okay, so you're talking about the Gemara in Masechet Brachot. It's one of the places where it discusses Ain Hara and it says what you say. In so many words, the more a person pays attention to Ain Hara, where they're constantly scared about people looking at them, people counting, people this, people that, then it will affect them more. The same concept when it comes to spirits, demons, whatever other creatures are out there that are beyond the natural perception of the eye, unless you're permitted to see it. And usually those that are permitted to see it is because they're looking for it. So when you don't pay attention to those things, then they won't bother you as much. But if you do pay attention for them and even look for them, then you'll see more of it. You'll start seeing stuff move in your house or all types of strange things happen. So back to Ain Hara, a person that spends a lot of effort defending against Ain Hara with all types of sgulot, with and all types of things. Many of them are fake. Some of them are real. Then in essence they are subjugating themselves to Ain Hara. Now, again, this is not to mean to say that that a person should say that Ain Hara doesn't exist, because it does exist, and the Gemara says so that it exists. But a person doesn't necessarily need to, just because Ain Hara exists, you don't need to spend your entire day, redecorating your house and car and life to defend yourself against it by, putting some onions, putting some chamsas, putting some holy books. You don't need to do all of that. Main thing that a person can do to defend themselves against Ain Hara is as follows. Number one, learn Torah every day. Learn Torah every day. That already brings protection to your life. Number two, give tzedakah as much as possible on a regular basis. At least give maaser, especially give the money to good places that are publicizing Torah, that are helping Am Yisrael do tshuva. You have to donate, because those donations not only bring protection, but a donation can literally save your life. And the Gemara says that 1,000 people die, 999 of them die from Ain Hara. So Ain Hara is certainly part of the world, whether we like it or we don't like it. Tzedakah saves from death. That's what Shlomo HaMelech taught. So give a lot of tzedakah on a regular basis. That's the second thing. Third, Do not be a show-off. This is one of the problems in our current generation, where apparently to be a show-off has become a standard. In previous generations, people were much more humble, even when they were successful. Certainly, there was always show-offs. There was always certain people that were more, gaudy and arrogant. But the general public, both Jews and Gentiles, was much more reserved than they are today. Today, it's standard to be show-off. In fact, even the people that are completely broke, that have nothing to show for anything, pretend like they have millions. They'll buy fake earrings and make people believe like it's really a diamond. They'll buy, they'll buy fake watches and make people pretend like they're wearing a $50,000 watch. They'll take a picture next to a car that's not even theirs. Show off has become standard. Don't be one of those people. And I don't just mean with the examples that I gave. Don't be a show-off about anything. Don't show off how you're better looking than other people. Don't show off how you're richer than other people, you're smarter than other people. Don't show off your kids. People make a mistake by putting their pictures of their kids on the internet because their kids are cute, their kids are beautiful. It's a mistake. Or even more so, people put their spouse on the internet. She put her husband. Oh, look, my husband loves me so much. He just bought me flowers. He just took me out. He just, bought me a car. Yeah, and the next picture, if you keep doing that, he just divorced me. He just cheated on me. Why? Ayin hara. Why are you publicizing your husband, publicizing your wife because they're beautiful, because they love you, and so on? You are opening up yourself, literally, 2 wide doors to ayin hara. Why? Because people look at you, they become jealous, and even if they love you, even if they're your parents, even if they're your best friend, even if they're whoever they are, they become jealous. The second they envy you, the second they become jealous of you, you have ayin hara on you. How damaging it is depends. Jealousy is not as bad as envy. Someone that envies you, Hashem yishmor v'yatzil. Hashem yishmor v'yatzil. Literally, it's horrible, Rabotai. Horrible. I've had, I won't give you examples. Point being is, Rabotai, don't give people a reason to envy you. Jealous of you, there's some people, there's nothing you can do because they're just jealous of everyone, even if they themselves have. But don't be a show-off. Don't wear, all types of flashy jewelry and flashy things, unless, again, there's a real reason for it. But that's a justifiable reason that you've gotten a da'at Torah about. You asked a rabbi and he told you, yes, perfectly fine, you should do that. Not just you're allowed to do it, but you should do it. Because, again, just because a person doesn't want to get ayin hara doesn't permit them to look like they're homeless. In fact, Rabbi HaKadosh, Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, rebuked one of the rich people in the community because he saw that his son looks like an average person, is dressed like an average person. And he told the son, tell your father that I said, that Rebbe said, he's not allowed to dress you like a regular person. You come from a wealthy family, you have to look like a wealthy person. Why? Because people are looking for tzedakah, they need to know where to go to. You can't look like you're homeless if you're wealthy. The same token, don't pretend like you are Bill Gates when in reality you're not even good enough to be his janitor. Either way, a person knows whether they're a show-off or not. If you're spending, as a guy, more than 2 or 3 minutes in front of the mirror every day, it's usually already a sign that you care too much. If you're a woman and when you decide what you're going to wear, you're thinking about what people are going to think, then already that gives you an indication of where your mind is. And again, it's when a person has problems, many times it's because they brought those problems on themselves. And the whole issue when it comes to how the Satan has literally fooled this entire generation to put idolatry on their head is by the whole issue of ayin hara. Why? Because one guy saw that his friend's wife has a beautiful wig on. She looks like she's single, even though she's married and she already had 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids. And now he wants the same thing for his wife. He wants his wife to look like his friend's wife. This is all jealousy, ayin hara, problems, and it's a disaster. But you have to understand that if you are looking to show off, you're bringing ayin hara on yourself. Ayin hara is not just something that can cause you to lose money, health, problems with kids. It could literally cause you to lose life. And I've had issues where I've had to literally ask certain people to, in so many words, don't come around so much. Don't come around. Or if it's a family member that came for a gathering, let's say, and I saw that they took a picture of my kids, I would tell them, don't publicize the picture. Don't share it with anybody. I'm not going to ask. I'm not crazy and start going to ask you to delete it in front of me or anything like that. But I'm asking you not to publicize the picture. Not because I'm scared of people looking at my kids. Plenty of you people have seen me outside, and see my kids. I love my kids, and there's nothing private about them. It's just that don't publicize that stuff. Why? The second something like that happens, there's always something happens. Always, always. It's literally like instant. And the same thing happens with other things. So it's important for a person to know ayin hara is real. That doesn't mean that you need to, hide in some closet and surround yourself with onions and all types of stuff and be scared. No. But you have to be conscious and apply that to your behavior and how you run your life. And B'ezrat Hashem, if you follow those few things that I mentioned, the Torah, the tzedakah, and not to be a show-off, that's already plenty of things that you can do to protect yourself against ayin hara. What are some good things to do spiritually if your wife is pregnant? Number 1, learn more Torah. 2, give more tzedakah. 3, there's certain prayers that you could say for her while she's pregnant. There's also certain prayers that you can say for her that are different, that once she's in her last trimester. And there's a different prayer that you can say once the water broke and she's about to deliver. There's different prayers that you could get. There's a book called Aneni that has many of these prayers. I've told it to many people that have asked me about this stuff. So that's another good thing. When you learn Torah out loud, so that she, not only she could hear it, but the baby inside could hear it. If you're going to have music in the house, make sure it's only holy music, either Tehillim or something holy. These are some of the good things that you can do. As far as if you could do even more, arrange a chachamim to come to your house or to have a shiur Torah in your house. Bring more kedusha to the house on a regular basis. And of course, protect your kedusha. No, don't look at other women. Don't look at any filthy things on the internet or elsewhere. Protect your eyes, protect your brit. That's more than enough. There's other things, but this is already more than enough. What's the difference between bad eyes and kishufim? Oh, you mean like an evil eye and witchcraft? No, an evil eye comes without a person doing anything. A person looks at another person and they're jealous or envious of that person. That has a impact depending on the person. Number 1, the person that's looking, and also the person that's being looked at, how vulnerable they are spiritually, and that can cause that other person damage. But that doesn't require any action other than a natural look on someone, even if they love the person, even if they care about them and they don't mean them harm. But that evil eye can happen without any action. Witchcraft requires, it's first of all, it's intentionally using the impure powers of the Satan in order to change the natural course of the world. And usually it's to inflict evil on other people in some way or another, whether it's to cause them damage and financially, health, relationships, all types of things. But that's much worse. Why? Because for evil eye, a person doesn't get punished for it. Like if somebody has evil eye in somebody else, there's no it's not a sin that a person would get punished for. But someone that deals with witchcraft, the Torah specifically says, "Machshefa lo techayeh," that such a person gets a death penalty. At the time of the Sanhedrin, they literally would kill them. But today, a person that deals with witchcraft has earned themselves, for each act they've done, have earned themselves a heavenly death penalty. And a person should be assured that whatever death penalty is decreed by the Torah will certainly happen, even if that means that a person has to come back to this life multiple times just for the sake of dying. Hashem does not stay in debt to anyone. So, to protect yourself from witchcraft, first and foremost, stay away from people that say they even like it. Needless to say, from people that deal with it. Stay away from them, don't socialize with them, don't talk to them, not in person, and not on the phone, and not in text. Anyone that tells you that they deal with witchcraft, simply disconnect from them, change your phone number. Just run away as far away from them as possible, as soon as possible. That's number one. That usually solves the problem. Now, as far as other things, of course, a person does good things, learns Torah, gives tzedakah, to publicize Torah, to support Torah, those things certainly are going to help. Stay away from anyone that is in it. That's usually more than enough. As far as what does a person do if they believe they have witchcraft on them? Most people that believe that they have witchcraft on them are just deluding themselves. It's not really true. They don't really have witchcraft on them. They believe because they're dealing with something difficult. They believe that they have bad luck. They believe that strange things are happening to them, but that's usually because of something else. That's usually because either they're acting immoral, or they're connected to idolatry or some form of immorality, or Hashem is in essence trying to redirect them in a different path, like we spoke about the first hour of this lecture. So it's not usually witchcraft. If a person truly has witchcraft on them, then it's very difficult to deal with, because there's not many people in the world that are truly holy, like that have the ability to remove it. But generally speaking, Hashem doesn't bring it as often to the world as He did in previous generation, because Hashem doesn't bring something to people that can't handle it. If there's a sickness, there's a medicine. If there's a damage, there's a solution. So Hashem is not going to bring us something that we can't deal with. So in previous generation, when witchcraft was much more common, the sages, the Jewish sages that were able to deal with it were much more common. The Chafetz Chaim has removed the dibuk, Rabbi Chaim Volozhin dealt with dibuk. All types of Chachamim dealt with much more than just witchcraft. Dibukim and witchcraft, it's in the Gemara also. But that's during times where witchcraft was much more common, and in fact even standard in some parts of the world. Now, even though there are parts of the world like Haiti and different parts of South America or the Middle East, that there's still witchcraft is still very much common. A person can stay away from those places. Even if you live in the city, doesn't mean that you go by the people that have that. Stay away from those people, stay away from those places, and that alone should help you stay away from it. And also, don't bring attention to yourself. Don't bring attention to yourself. And that's it. I have a question. Do Jews believe that an amulet can be stronger than the protection of God? No. We don't believe such nonsense. few people can remove witchcraft. Anyone in New York? Not that I know of. I know there are some people that say they do, but the ones that I've looked into in the past are frauds. I don't know anybody in America that could deal with it, to be honest with you. How do we know that Har Sinai wasn't an alien encounter? Because we're not stupid and delusional and addicted to sci-fi films and video games. The Torah says it. The Torah speaks in the name of God. And if it was aliens, he would have told us aliens. If it was reptile people, he would have told us reptile people. If it was, I don't know, whatever other... if it was the Matrix, where a bunch of people are living in two different dimensions, he would tell us, but he didn't. He told us that the world we have right now is the same world that was then. Do amulets work? Some of them do work, and the ones that do work are very hard to get. They're rare, and if you get it from the wrong person, it could cause more damage than good. So... some of them do work, but many times they cause more damage than because the person that that wrote it was not exactly Mr. Holy. How does a person overcome the fear of suffering? Depends where that person stands spiritually. If they're already fulfilling all that they are required to do in the Torah, then they should easily have no fear of suffering, because the only thing they should be scared of is Hashem. If they're not doing everything in the Torah, then they need to do that, and that will lead them to stop fearing anything else but Hashem. Thank you, Rabbi, for the very good advice, because I know that Mal de Hoyo from that. Oh, okay, Israel, okay. Really wish the Hebrews could speak like you. If you're talking about the Hebrew Israelites, no, they can barely complete a sentence without cursing. What's the tshuva for wearing shatnez? I've already donated those garments. The tshuva for everything starts off with, number one, stop the sin. Two, make sure you don't do it again by learning about the topic. So learn the halachot of shatnez. That's number two. Number three, remorse, meaning say I'm sorry to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And four is help other people overcome the obstacle, which looks like you're doing because you've donated it and so on. But do the other three. Do you have an opinion on Shabtai Tzvi and his followers? Do they engage in magical forms of Kabbalah? Shabtai Tzvi is dead, Baruch Hashem. He was a Rasha Merusha that not only was a extraordinary problem for Am Yisrael for many, many years, even to this day. There's certain remnants of his spiritual filth that he left in the world. And yes, he was using witchcraft to get people to believe that he was really holy and a mekubal. He wasn't a mekubal, he was a rasha, and he suffered tremendously. If you want to know what happened to him after he died, you could look into the book by Rabbi Yehuda called Ruchot Mesaprot, or Minchat Yehuda. There's even a translation of it in English. And Rabbi Yehuda tried to help his neshama by doing tikkunim for him. I spoke to his Rabbi Yehuda's nephew. He's one of the very, very old members of our shul in Israel. So whenever I go, I live in America, obviously in Florida, but whenever I go to Israel, we always go there, and The Gabbai in our Beit Knesset is his nephew, and he told us what happened when Rabbi Daftaya did that. So it was a lot of balagan. It was a lot of commotion in the city. Everyone knew about it. Everyone. It was a very, very big thing when he was doing the tikkunim for Shabtai Tzvi. But anyway, there's details of the conversation that Rabbi Daftaya himself wrote. So you don't have to speculate. You could literally see it in the book. And they were using witchcraft and all types of Kabbalah Ma'asit. He eventually converted to Islam and then told his followers that even though originally he didn't intend to, because he was forced to either convert to Islam or die, he didn't want to die, so him and some of his followers converted to Islam. But then he actually said that, this was actually because he was saving certain sparks of Kedusha from the world of Islam, all types of other nonsense. In so many words, many, many people fell for his trap all over the world and actually thought that he was Mashiach. He was not even the donkey of Mashiach, and he suffered tremendously for what he did. Is it okay to have a chamsa as a pendant or hanging on a wall? Sure, it's allowed, whether you should or you shouldn't. It doesn't hurt. Most likely not going to help. But if you like it, go ahead, put it. How can you tell if somebody's an achzar, if somebody's vicious, based on their behavior? If they don't care that other people are in pain, while they can actually do something about it, then that's a sign. But again, it depends. It depends on the circumstance. Your chat needs moderators. Yeah, a lot of people tell me that they do, but the thing is, there's no way to stop the idol worshippers because they just make new profiles. So whatever, I just if I see people ask something reasonable, I answer. If not, I just ignore it. How many times a day do Jews pray? At least 3 times a day for males, once a day at least from females. Do amulets work for receiving more money? There are some that help success, but again, like I told you, the kameahs, it's just because you have a kameah doesn't mean it's going to work. Even if it's the right kameah, if it's the wrong person that wrote it, it could create more damage than good. There was one guy that was calling himself a mekubal that told a certain zgula to a famous rabbi to help his father because his father was sick, and literally he did it. The next day his father died. So instead of helping him, he literally killed him. And then when a real mekubal looked into the issue, right away he discovered, without even being told, that that happened. So people think that it's like you could just take a piece of paper, take a little pendant, take something, and just everything becomes Gan Eden. Doesn't work that way. Real kameot are, number one, rare, because very few people actually know and are fit to write them. And number two, when you do have access to them, they're very expensive. I had a couple of times where people have asked me about kameot. 99% of the time when I tell them what the price is, people say, no way. There's kameot that cost $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Now, of course, there were certain tzaddikim that give them for free. But number one, that's not common. And number two, the level of tzaddikim today is not, it's not like we had in the past. But the kameot it's not 1, 2, 3. People have this delusion that they think that even if sometimes there's a lot of scams in there also. You go to a place and the guy tells you he's a mekubal, yeah, give me $10, $20, $30,000 and I'll give you a kameh, it's going to solve all your problems. The next thing you know, you have more problems. Like this one woman that came to me, she said she got like some $25,000 thing from some fake mekubal. Her life got much, much worse. She says life literally got 10 times worse than what it was when she was asking the problem. Why? Because the guy that she got it from is a faker. So you have to know who you're dealing with, and not just your perception of them because he looks righteous, because he wears different clothes than you, because he looks like the Baba Sali, because he's old. Don't make decisions based on being so naive. There has to be somebody that other tzaddikim vouch that he is a tzaddik, that he dedicates all of his life to Torah. He also happens to be a mekubal. He also has expertise in kameot. Like I said, I know a lot of people, Baruch Hashem, and I know two mekubalim. Out of all the people that I know a lot of Torah scholars, Baruch Hashem, a lot of rabbis, tzaddikim, good people, and so on. Out of everybody that I know two mekubalim. One is a dayan, the other one isn't. The other one is very, very serious Talmid Chacham of one of the big mekubalim of this generation who doesn't see the public anymore, but he himself also doesn't really see. And I can tell you this, when it comes to mekubalim, they are, the greater they are in Kabbalah, the more difficult their life is. They suffer a lot but that's in essence part of the price that they pay as a result of what they do. But either way, they don't just do what, it's not like a McDonald's where you can just order whatever you want, whenever you want, and 1, 2, 3, you get it. They only deal with specific people if they're sure that it's even worth it to deal with, to do it. They don't do it for everyone. And in so many words, I've had times where we've seeked their guidance or to get kameot for different things. It's always a big process, and it's it's not cheap. It's not cheap. But the vast majority of the world does not need kameot, so I don't really even know why people think that that's what they should go to. Like kameh is not to make you rich overnight or to fix your problem, when that problem can be fixed by you. Did Tanakh come before or after the destruction of the second temple? Well, I mean, the first part of the Tanakh is the 5 books of Moses. That already started 3,300 years ago, which is over 1,000 years before the destruction of the first temple. I studied a lot of Kabbalah, but I never engaged in any of it. Yeah, a lot of people think they study Kabbalah. I can assure you that what you studied is not what you think it is. Can you talk about Proverbs? Sure. Shlomo HaMelech says in Proverbs, the stupidity of man causes him to sin against God, and then he gets mad at God for punishing him. So a person has to understand that if they have problems, that's because God is speaking to them. And He's trying to help them change direction. Simple. How many chats am I looking at? Multiple. There's Facebook, there's YouTube, there's TikTok, and there's another feed over there from WhatsApp. Rabbi, how does one break bad luck curse? Start with doing tshuva. And if you don't know what that is, watch my film called Hashem Took Back His Millions. It's on my YouTube channel. Hashem Took Back His Millions. It'll give you an understanding. It's a very entertaining movie too. Why is Kabbalah so dangerous? It's not dangerous for people that know what to do with it. Just like a gun is only dangerous to somebody that doesn't know how to deal with it. If a person that doesn't know how to deal with it can create problems, and it's dangerous for them. But a person that knows, a person that's fit, a person that's has someone guiding them, could certainly learn Kabbalah. But again, they have to fit fit the bill. It can't just be anybody that thinks they know how to read and has money to buy a book is going to start learning Kabbalah. I can tell you one thing. I've, Baruch Hashem, spoken to some serious people. Baruch Hashem, I have my Rav also, who's, let's just say, he's not unaware of Kabbalah. He already published one Kabbalistic book. And anyone that's teaching Kabbalah publicly is either a fool or a liar. Because you're not supposed to teach Kabbalah publicly. Needless to say, you're not allowed to teach it to women. So anyone that says he's teaching Kabbalah and they do it publicly, not just YouTube, even public crowd with a lecture, Kabbalistic lecture, is either a liar or a fool. Do people still do Merkava? Maaseh Merkava? I mean, you mean learn Maaseh Merkava? I mean, there's a certain levels of teachings that certain people get to, but that would be known on an individual basis. Not nobody's like giving lectures about it or anything like that. Is there people that do Kabbalah Ma'asit? Yeah, there are people that do it, but it's not supposed to be done for personal use. Did God promise you that He will send you a gift 3,000 years ago? Yes. What does the alphabet look like in your language? If you're referring to the language that I'm speaking right now, it's English. It's the same letters that you're writing. If you're referring to my mother tongue, which is what I was born with, is Hebrew, just type on Google Hebrew language, and you'll see. What can Jews not do on Saturday? They're not allowed to light fire, turn off fire, which means driving, cooking. But if there's already a preset fire or hot plate, the preset fire has to be covered, but they could heat up food, but they're not allowed to light a new fire, which also means they can't turn on and off lights. They're not allowed to work, like, in their job, do business. There's 39 different melachot that are forbidden on Shabbat, and things that are from the same family of melachot. There's many things that are not forbidden, but there's a lot more things that are permitted. Do you think there will ever be kosher pork? No. Torah says not kosher, it stays not kosher. Do you like what Elon Musk did? Elon Musk did the Nazi salute. Elon Musk did not do the Nazi salute. Only an idiot said that, and unfortunately many people foolishly followed. They think that anybody that just raises their arm is a Nazi salute. Now again, I'm no stockholder of Tesla or anything. I think that Elon Musk is obviously brilliant. I don't need to give him any compliments. He's successful and brilliant, and he's done good things. As far as the business is concerned, he looks like he has a decent head on his head as far as morals is concerned. I'm not so sure if what religion he practices. I believe he believes in God. But as far as him being a Nazi, he's certainly not a Nazi. That, you don't need to be a genius to know that. Number one, because during the time where anti-Semitism was skyrocketing, after October 7th, and the whole world turned against the Jews, Elon Musk went to Israel and actually supported the Jews. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, raising your arm like this is not the Nazi salute. Okay, it's not even close to it. The Nazi salute is a straight arm. Okay, it's a straight arm. It's not this way. And of course, the people that want to victimize themselves and want to reach an audience and get headlines, they'll say anything, even if that means lying, cheating, bad-mouthing, and all types of other things at the cost of other people. They'll do it. And that's unfortunately what happened. Some people say that the so-called Jewish Defense League, or ADL, or whatever they're called, they certainly do not represent the Jews, but I could tell you that some people say that they started this whole thing about they think that Elon Musk did the Nazi salute. I don't know if they did or didn't. Either way, I heard about it today, and I think that anyone that believes that he did the Nazi salute should certainly check themselves into a psych ward, get their head checked, because they're stupid. And if they're not stupid, then they're blind. And if they're not blind or stupid, then perhaps whoever's checking them is that. But he certainly did not do Nazi salute. Anyone that learned anything about Nazi Germany will tell you that there's a world of difference between a person that doesn't agree with you and a person that even dislikes you, and even a typical anti-Semite and a Nazi. There's like levels. Somebody could be anti-Semitic, but not necessarily because he knows a whole lot of Jews. He just had some bad experiences with some Jews, and he thinks that therefore, or he heard some bad things about Jews, and therefore they're not good. But then there's the Nazi. The Nazi lives and breeds hatred of Jews. No matter the look, the color, the shape, doesn't make a difference. They literally live it. They're like the missionaries of hate. So to say that someone is a Nazi because they raised their arm, it's just stupid. I don't know. I think that the more privileges the world gets with information and resources and technology and so on, instead of people becoming better, it seems like people are becoming stupider. And I just don't know. I mean, it just seems like we are like speed racing to the generation of the flood. Mind-boggling to me. Rabbi, can you explain Isaiah 53? Yes, the suffering servant is Am Yisrael. Has nothing to do with the idolatrous beliefs of Christianity. And to prove that, you could just simply look at all of the previous chapters, Isaiah 52, 51, 50, 49. It defines who the suffering servant is, and the suffering servant is Israel. How can I make tshuva if I stole something from somebody? Well, first off, return it. Return it to the person that you stole from them. Once you return it, that's already the first step. Second thing is, don't do it again. Don't make sure that don't put yourself in a position where you would repeat the same mistake. Number 3, say I'm sorry, both to Hashem and the person that you stole from. Number 4, the next time you get tested, pass the test. Those are the simple steps of doing tshuva. Now, as far as if the person that you stole is dead, then give it to his spouse. If the person that you stole from is gone, and you tried connecting with them, reaching him, finding him, but you can't find him, then donate the money that you stole to a public cause, like kiruv or something that that would be a public benefit that he could potentially benefit from if he was there. Now, as far as the people that you stole from multiple people, but you don't remember who they are, then again, you could estimate the value of all the things that you stole and donate that money to kiruv and or some other public cause, and that's what you can do. How do you eliminate Ain Hara once you have it? Do all the things that I mentioned before to protect yourself from it. Give tzedakah, learn Torah, don't be a show-off. All those things also can help you remove it. Do people who don't keep Torah and mitzvot get kaparat avonot? Is it beneficial? What if they don't do tshuva? So one of the Rishonim says that everyone gets kaparat avonot, but when a person does tshuva as a result of it, then the kaparat avonot is to their help. Whereas if a person does not do tshuva, then the kaparat avonot doesn't help them at all, and they're still going to get the full punishment, and in fact, even more punishment. Okay, let's see. What kind of prayers or rituals can one do to fix financial problems? Well, the first thing that a person can do, if they're a Jew, is observe Shabbat and protect their brit. Meaning, don't waste seed, don't watch pornography, don't look at anything immodest, and observe Shabbat. Second thing is be generous in your Shabbat shopping, or have a celebratory Shabbat. Those are a couple of things that could help a person with money. Third is to give generously donations to publicize Torah and to learn Torah. Those few things help parnasa, help make more money. But if a person wastes seed or a person doesn't keep Shabbat, then even if they give charity, it's not going to help them. Is kosher meat halal? I believe so, because every time you'll see a kosher butcher, there's usually a halal shop down the street, and the reason why is because when we slaughter the animals, but it doesn't meet our qualifications for kashrut, the Muslims buy it from us because it still meets their qualifications. So apparently it is. What if you're not Jewish in relations to financial question? Well, certainly pray to Hashem. You could also give generously to help publicize Torah, to help Jews do tshuva. Those few things have certainly helped quite a few people that have donated to our organization over the years. I have some videos of people that are not Jews that have literally testified that they got extraordinary miracles as a result of their donations. Aside from that, a person has to be ethical. They have to be ethical. They have to make sure that they are not a thief, because a thief may make money short term, may even look like they're successful short term, but since they're going against God, eventually they'll lose everything. So be ethical, and that's it. As far as prayer is concerned, you could pray words out of your own heart, or you could read Psalms. Can a Jew eat halal meat? No. No, it doesn't meet our kosher qualifications. Rabbi, please explain why eating seeds is so bad. I don't know. Why is eating seeds so bad? If you're talking about sunflower seeds, there's nothing bad about eating them. The bad part is how people eat them. Where people that eat them, they eat them in front of people, and they take the shells out of, in their mouth and out of their mouth, and they make a pile of it on the table in front of other people. That's usually a thing that they do, which is disgusting, especially with all the saliva on it. Or there are people that just eat it and they throw everything on the floor. Not only are is that really awful way to do things, but it's also disgusting. Just bad behavior. It's just lack of manners. But as far as eating them, if a person knows how to eat them, by all means, enjoy it. Don't worry about the terrorists that keep saying "Long live Gaza" and and they support Hitler. All those people don't pay attention to them or comment about those people. You have to understand, they are already suffering. They have to be themselves for the rest of their life. There's literally nothing that you can curse them with or wish upon them that's worse than what they already live with as a reality. They are themselves. Imagine living with so much hatred to the point where you spend your time, instead of, I don't know, go eat, drink, sleep, have fun, go make money, work. There's like a million things in the world to do. What do they choose to do? They choose to come on my lectures and curse out people, curse out the Jews, say and preach their Nazism and all. Like literally, just imagine, like there's so much hatred in them. They hate people they don't even know more than they like themselves. Like, go spend your time making money. Go spend your time with your wife, your husband, your kid, your donkey, or whatever. Go do something useful. What do? They come on TikTok or on Facebook or on wherever we put our lectures on. And what? They make their little comments. And they keep copying and pasting because, somebody helped them type the first one. They're not going to help them a second time. So they just told them how to copy and paste the same sentence 500 times. Literally. These are the people. Like they live with themselves. That's the worst punishment you can possibly get. To be that hateful and that much of a loser, there's nothing worse than that. Nothing worse than that. So there's no point of anybody yelling at them or cursing them. No, don't waste your time. They're them. They're just... Oh, a couple of them got the hint. One guy said, oh, goodbye. Oh, the other moron is still here. Don't worry. Thank you for the refuah shlema. What does someone do if they live in their car, van, RV, and they have nowhere else to go on Shabbat? Are they allowed to open the door, but obviously not the engine? If they're Jewish and they live in their car, then what they can do is they could either keep the door slightly open so the light doesn't turn on and off when they open the door, or they could just turn off the sensor that turns on the light on and off when they open the door. And then they could, in essence, use that car or RV or whatever it is like a house. So the issue with going into a car or RV is not because there's fear that the person's going to drive. Obviously, the person doesn't want to drive, but that's his house. The issue is when they open the door, usually there's some type of light that goes on or off. So as long as they remove that particular sensor, they could go in and out of their car without a problem, or RV or whatever it is. Dear Rabbi, how to not get jealous of someone? It's hard because people are more successful in living in nice fancy houses and drive nice cars. Okay, so why would listen, I mean, I know that some people have this tikkun of being jealous of other people, but Hashem, I don't have that tikkun. I've never been jealous of anybody except one person, which is Rabbi Ephraim, and I'm jealous of his Torah. If I had his Torah, I would certainly think I'm Mashiach. It's just amazing, but that's a permissible jealousy. To be jealous of Torah, that's a Kadosh Baruch Hu created jealousy for that. Every other jealousy is forbidden. Why? Why should someone not have it? And in fact, why is jealousy forbidden? First and foremost, you should know. Chachamim teach us in the Gemara in multiple places. A person that has jealousy is not going to be resurrected with the dead. Even if they're righteous, even if they keep Shabbat and they keep kosher and they keep everything, when there's the resurrection of the dead after Mashiach comes, people that are jealous will not be resurrected. Why? Jealousy, Shlomo Melech teaches us, jealousy rots the bones. Jealousy rots the bones, person does not get resurrected. Why does it rot the bones? Because jealousy
is kfira. It's heresy. It's a form of heresy. It's not heresy like Manis and those people that say God needs you or things like that, but it's a form of heresy. Why? Because when a person is jealous of somebody else, what are they in essence doing? They're saying to Hashem that he made a mistake. That's in essence what they're saying. They don't mean to, but that's actually what they're saying. Oh, look, Hashem, look at his car. How come you didn't give me his car? How come you didn't give me his car? What, as if you deserve that car, as if he's driving your car. You're jealous of his car. How come I don't have that car? So in essence, what you're saying is that Hashem gave him and not you, even though you believe and you decreed you do, but you don't. Because if you did deserve it, Hashem would have given it to you. If you did need it, Hashem would have given it to you. If Hashem wanted to give it to you, he'd give it to you, but he didn't give it to you. Why? Because he chose not to. So when a person is jealous of somebody else's wife, or somebody else's husband, or somebody else's car, or somebody else's anything else but Torah, it is a form of heresy. Because you're saying that Hashem made a mistake by giving other people what you deserve. And to say that Hashem makes a mistake is a very stupid thing to do. So that in itself is a reason to never be jealous of anybody. Secondly, or third, you have to also understand that looks are often deceiving. Someone looks like they are successful because they have an expensive car, they have an expensive house, they have expensive jewelry, so it looks like they're living life. But what you don't know is, number one, how is it life really? Is his car going to be repossessed? Is his house in the process of foreclosure? And he has no way of ever paying it back, which means that he's simply counting the days before the bank takes the house back. Is his wife cheating on him? Is her husband cheating on her? Are they drug addicts? Are they degenerates? Are they sick? Even if they're not degenerates, they're just simply sick, and they literally all the money in the world is meaningless to them. Is a person that has a chain of restaurants but has diabetes, so he can't eat anything. So that's not a person you would be jealous of if you knew. If you knew. But that's the thing. People are jealous of looks. They look at something and they assume everything is what it is. They look at Facebook pictures and they assume that's the real life. They look at wedding pictures and they assume that's how the party went. Everyone that's had a wedding knows that's not how the party went. The pictures is in essence an illusion. And in most cases was nothing like the real party. And in fact, nothing, absolutely nothing, like what happened after the party and the next day and a week later, and the Facebook pictures that people put are literally an illusion. No one takes the pictures of them slapping their kids because he doesn't want to stand in the picture, or the husband insulting his wife, 5 minutes before she took the picture and he told her to smile, and the wife told the husband that she wants a divorce. No one sees that in the picture. No one sees that in the picture. All they see is a bunch of people smiling. Sometimes they happen to be good looking. Sometimes they're ugly. But either way, Hashem blessed everybody. And it looks like they're having a good life. Why? Because they're standing in front of a mansion. They're standing in front of some beautiful part of nature that Hashem created. They're standing, they look like they're eating a tasty meal. No one tells you about how they got sick right after they ate that meal that they took a picture of and they couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. You don't see that in the picture. So when you look at a picture or look at something where it gives you the idea that this means good, know that's from a Satan. That's from a Satan. Other people's stuff that become your desire comes from a Satan. You should never ever desire what somebody else has. Never. Not their house, not their car, not their money, nothing. You should never desire anybody else. Why? Because if you desire somebody else's stuff, what you're not realizing is what problems they have. What problems come with that package that they have. And I could assure you, if you knew their problems, you wouldn't want what they have. If you thought, no, but life is good. Sure, life is good. But once you knew what problems come with all of that. Now again, I'm not saying that everybody that's rich is also a drug addict, or everybody that's rich is also something else. It's obviously, everybody has their own package, but I can assure you, Everyone has the perfect package that Hashem gave them. Some people, Hashem decided to give them an exorbitant amount of money and fancy things because that's what they need to have to be in this world. That's what Hashem decreed for them. That's what they need to have. Some people, literally, Hashem decrees they're going to be wealthy. Some people, Hashem decreed they're going to be poor. Some people, Hashem decrees that they're going to go from poverty to wealth, and some people the opposite. Either way, the appearance is always deceiving because you don't know what's going on behind. So to be jealous of somebody, I would say at the very least, first find out about all their real problems and then decide whether you're jealous or not. But really when it comes, push comes to shove, a person that understands that jealousy is a form of heresy will never be jealous of anyone for anything except Torah. Can I turn on music before tefillah to help me cry during prayer to make it more sincere? Music is a trigger for me. No. Hashem wants to hear your voice, not music. I think to find out what someone is struggling not to be jealous is a low level, because really you're jealous, but now you have more, you're good. Okay, well, again, that wasn't a choice number one. Choice number one is not to be jealous because it's a form of heresy. But if a person can't even get their head around that, they should at the very least look at what other people actually have, which the vast majority of people are not going to be able to find out what other people really have, what their problems are. Because people don't just necessarily share all their problems. Usually they share lies. But if they can, they'll see that there's nothing to be jealous about. Do you listen to music, Rabbi? No, not really. I don't really have time to listen to music. The only thing I listen to lately is our own tshuva music, just as part of reviewing the songs. But as far as just to listen to music in like the car or at my desk, no, not really. I don't listen to music. I don't have time to listen to music or there's nothing wrong with listening to music if it's kosher music. Obviously, that's why we're publicizing the channel and everything, and to make kosher music, because a lot of music out there is complete garbage. It's full of immorality and stuff like that. So we're at least producing something good. But as far as for me personally to listen to music, I just don't have the time. But you know, when I do, I listen to tshuva music or what my kids like. My kids listen to music. They listen to kosher tzaddikim music. I've got socks older than Israel. Okay, get new socks. 7-year-old socks. Disgusting. Would you borrow them from your camel? Nasty people. Just get new socks. Cheap. Get from a 99-cent store even. Does wasting seed cause misfortune in your life? Absolutely. Sages teach us that nearly all of the misfortune that happens in a person's life and even in the world is as a result of immorality, primarily wasting seed. You should watch my film called Tikkun Abrit on my YouTube channel. It's reached over 10 million views in different languages and so on. And it tells you a lot about this stuff.
Tikkun Habrit. Tikkun Habrit. Rabbi Dad teaches that if one never gets jealous, they don't age. What is the source of this teaching, Rabbi? Ask Rabbi Dad. What is your stance on people converting to Judaism? If it's authentic Orthodox Judaism, then it's amazing and it's a blessing and it's one of the gifts that Hashem gives the Jewish people. As the sages teach us, and some of the most righteous people that ever lived were converts to Judaism. Shmaya Naftalion, Ruth, the grandmother of Mashiach, grandmother of David HaMelech, Yitro, Rabbi Akiva came from converts, Rabbi Meir Barunes came from converts, my wife came from is a convert, and countless students that I have are converts, and I help many converts. So my stance on conversion, if you're asking me that question, that's because this is probably the first time you're ever watching my lectures. And I highly recommend you watch my other lectures, especially a playlist that I have on my channel that's about conversion to Judaism, and even on my website, a guide for Jewish converts, all of which we make freely available to help people convert to Judaism, as long as they're going to be legitimate, righteous, and follow what Hashem says. One thing I never understood is when people come to my lectures and they have conversations between each other. What's the point? Why don't you guys just go offline and call each other or send each other text messages? Why does it have to be here? I don't really understand it. You're just disturbing other people. Do people in the conversion process have a Yetzirah? Yes, there's different levels of the Yetzirah. Can I wear a tzitzit when exercising? Or is it better not to? Why not? Of course, wear tzitzit all the time. Go to sleep with tzitzit if you can. Is writing in a journal addressing it to Hashem a appropriate form of prayer? If you're a Jew, pray from the Siddur and pray from your own words. If you want to write something, write. You can, but make sure you do the prayers that you're obligated to do. If you're a non-Jew, then you're not obligated to pray. You should pray with your own words. That's certainly a much better tool than writing. But if you want to write, you can. But, it's everybody has a different thing. But the way that Hashem created us is for us to pray with our mouth. That's why the mouth is the most important part. That gives you the ability to pray. That's why prophets were called Nevi'im. Nevi'im means Niv Sfatayim, a speaker. The mouth can do a lot of good things. Primarily, pray to Hashem. Praise Hashem. Pray to Hashem. Moses was a Muslim, Abraham was a Muslim, Jesus was a Muslim, and you're an idiot. It's just dumb people. How do you guys live? Is jealousy a form of idolatry that it implies a person's elevating themselves above God? No. Jealousy is not elevating yourself above God. Jealousy is just simply thinking that something that somebody else has should come to you, should have come to you. It's a form of heresy, but not idolatry.
Rabbi, if the Palestinians worship the Creator, why are they being dehumanized as animals? Well, when they act like animals and they murder, rape, and kill innocent people, then you have to treat them like animals. Simple. In fact, animals don't even act that way. Animals don't usually rape. And usually they only kill if they're hungry. So go spend a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in Israel, and judge for yourself. Judge for yourself what the situation really is. Instead of reading blogs from anti-Semites, go to Israel yourself. You don't need anybody to even be a tour guide for you. Go, walk around, see what the Jewish people really are like. Go to the religious communities, and then go to the Palestinian communities. Even the ones that are in Israel. I'm not even talking about the ones in Gaza that are being bombed. I'm talking about the ones that are in Jerusalem. There's Palestinian communities in there. Go there, compare that to the religious communities, Jewish religious communities, and you decide who is righteous and who is not. Go, be a real investigator and videotape it and put it on the internet. Almost 2.5 hours. Okay, it's late. See. There's a person, whether a Jew or a Goy, that sold a phone or a laptop to us, that we watch Torah and even learn Torah, get rewarded for all the hours that we learned on it. If he sold it to you, no. If he gave it to you for free, yeah. What happens to the women who are pregnant after the Mashiach comes, since it's taught that there will be no reincarnation? They'll have the baby if they're pregnant. That's what happens after you get pregnant. You have a baby. Thank you, Rabbi, for explaining it to me. I had to hear it, remove it. Jealousy from my heart. Baruch Hashem. Very good. Can you make a tshuva music Shabbat song? I believe we have, but if not, I'll tell my team. Sure. Are we allowed to lie and say we are going to save your life from a Nazi or someone that's looking to kill Jews? The Rambam paskins, you're not allowed, if you're a Jew, you're not allowed to say that you're not Jew. No, not allowed. How can women do tshuva if she did an abortion 20 years ago? First and foremost, never do it again. Number two, to learn about the significance of the sin. Number three, cry to HaKadosh Baruch Hu a whole lot. And number four, to help people that are struggling, having children, either financially, help people that are, do tshuva for immorality, or, help, in essence, help people do tshuva. If she wants to go extra credit, she could also do a tikkun, but certainly do as much as possible to do tshuva for it. But everything I said is very much possible and within the reach of anybody to do. Okay. Rabotai Karim, Baruch Hashem, we learned. We grew. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll continue to do so over these next few days and together again next week. Anyone that wants to support can donate on BezratHashem.org. There's several different options of how to donate. Anyone that wants to take up the opportunity of distributing the Asher Yatzar posters or the Tikkun Abrit and AI Rabbi posters in their Jewish community can get this for free if they live in the US by going to kiruvstore.org, KIRUVSTORE, store.org. And if you have, you order them and you give out this box, or 10 of these boxes, to 10 different locations and send us the pictures, B'ezrat Hashem, you will also get a gift of one of Rav Nisim Yagen's books. Currently, we're giving out the Sefer Shmot, commentary on Shmot, and until we run out of books. But Baruch Hashem, opportunity to do kiruv and get stuff for free, and get stuff for free. And of course, if you want to donate and help us, that's also amazing, because we need the help. Skol mitzvot, bracha v'atzlacha, and B'ezrat Hashem, have a Shabbat Shalom. Kol tov.